Episode 7. Waking up different when sleep feeds the next day. Calm. There's a moment right after waking up when your body tells you the truth. Before the notifications hit, before the to-do list screams, before the world expects you to show up a certain way. In that soft space between dreaming and doing, your nervous system whispers, "This is how we're really doing today." And for the longest time, my mornings were heavy. My eyes opened before the alarm. My jaw clenched, my chest tight. I'd scroll my phone in a daze, looking for something to make me feel less alone in the weight of exhaustion. Sometimes I'd convince myself I'd slept enough, but my body knew better. It didn't feel rested. It felt unfinished, like I'd gone to bed but never quite arrived at sleep. I'd push through the morning in survival mode, drink too much coffee, skip breakfast, feel wired by noon, and depleted by 3. And I thought that was normal. I thought that's just what adulthood felt like, until it didn't. The first time I truly woke up rested, I didn't recognize the feeling. My eyes opened slowly, not suddenly. My breath was deep, my thoughts weren't loud, my body wasn't bracing. I sat up and felt ready. Not because I had a perfect night routine or took the best supplements, but because I had started giving my body what it actually needed before bed. Real food, grounding meals, small intentional snacks. No punishment, no panic, just steady nourishment and a whisper of permission to rest. That one night of real sleep didn't just change my energy, it changed my behavior. I didn't need 3 shots of espresso to feel alive. I didn't snap at small things. I didn't spend the whole day craving sugar just to stay upright. I ate a real breakfast. I drank water. I noticed sunlight. I moved slower but got more done. Not because I was hustling, but because I was present. I didn't realize how much sleep was feeding the next day until I finally experienced the kind that actually restores. The kind that only comes when your body isn't in a war with food or time or stress. The kind that begins not when your head hits the pillow, but when your body finally believes it's safe to let go. And the most surprising part? That feeling lasted. It echoed into how I showed up for conversations, how I made decisions, how I spoke to myself in moments of doubt. I wasn't just better rested, I was kinder, more regulated, less reactive. And all of that started with something as ordinary as toast with almond butter the night before. This is why I stopped chasing perfect morning routines and started protecting my nights. Because mornings are born from the nights that came before. If you're waking up anxious, groggy, or already behind, maybe it's not your alarm, or your motivation, or your willpower. Maybe it's just that your body never got the chance to land, never got the signal that it was finally safe to release. When I changed how I closed the day, I changed how I opened the next one. And little by little, I stopped surviving my mornings. I started inhabiting them. That's the secret no one tells you. That good sleep is less about control and more about trust. Less about knocking yourself out and more about letting yourself be held. The bedtime snack, the dim lights, the warm tea, the quiet moment with your own breath, it's all part of teaching your body the language of safety again. And when your body feels safe, it sleeps. Not as a task, not as an achievement, but as a return. And when that sleep runs deep, when it's not cut short by blood sugar crashes or cortisol jolts or shame over hunger, something inside you wakes up different. You greet the day softer. Not because it got easier, but because you got steadier, because you went to bed cared for, not controlled, nourished, not numbed, fed, not fought. And that difference shows in how you move, in how you speak, in how you treat others and yourself. It's not just about sleep anymore. It's about who you get to be when sleep finally starts working for you, not against you. So tonight, as the day winds down, maybe you don't ask, what time should I go to bed, or what melatonin should I take? Maybe you ask, how can I make this moment feel safe enough to let go? And maybe, just maybe, the answer isn't a rule. Maybe it's a ritual, a little food, a little stillness, a little grace. Because sometimes the thing that makes the biggest difference in the morning is the kindness you offered yourself the night before. Episode 8, the sleep-stealing snack you'd never suspect. It looked harmless. Actually, it looked healthy. Organic, gluten-free, lightly sweetened, high in protein, low in fat. Exactly the kind of snack I'd once believed was perfect for late-night cravings. I had seen influencers rave about it, wellness blogs recommend it, and even a few doctors list it as sleep-friendly. So I trusted it. I trusted the label. I trusted the reputation. I trusted the idea that if something came in a small package and had the word natural on it, it couldn't hurt my sleep. But that night, it did. I went to bed feeling off. Not wired exactly, just unsettled. My stomach was noisy. My mind was jittery. I felt full but not grounded, heavy but not held. I tossed. I turned. I woke up 3 times, sweating. And when the sun rose, I felt like I hadn't slept at all. I thought maybe it was just stress, or maybe a bad dream I couldn't remember. But when it happened again the next night, and again after that, I started looking closer. What I found surprised me. It wasn't the TV. It wasn't my phone. It wasn't the temperature. It was the protein bar. That so-called healthy, convenient, clean-label bedtime snack was stealing my sleep. At first, I didn't want to believe it. I mean, it had everything the package promised. 10 grams of protein, only 1 gram of sugar, no gluten, no dairy, no artificial junk. It even had sleep-supportive ingredients like magnesium and chamomile listed in tiny font. But the truth was in how my body responded. And my body wasn't fooled. What I thought was a smart, blood sugar-friendly, macro-balanced bedtime snack was actually a quiet little chaos bomb. Here's why. First, it was packed with sugar alcohols. You know the ones: erythritol, xylitol, maltitol. They don't spike blood sugar like regular sugar, but they mess with your gut, and your gut talks directly to your brain. For me, that meant bloating, cramping, and a nervous system that felt low-grade, agitated all night long. Second, it had whey protein isolate. Now don't get me wrong, protein is crucial, especially before bed. But highly processed isolates can hit the body too fast. It's like trying to sip water from a fire hose. Your system doesn't know how to handle it gently. So instead of calming my body, it made me feel revved up. And third, here's the sneakiest part. It had caffeine. Not a lot, just trace amounts. From green tea extract or chocolate or natural energy blend. But at 10 p.m., even trace amounts are enough, especially if you're sensitive, especially if your adrenals are already fried. Add all of that together, and what I thought was a nourishing snack was actually stimulating me. Not enough to feel wired like a shot of espresso, but just enough to keep my heart from slowing down, just enough to stop me from sinking, just enough to keep my body on alert, even as I lay perfectly still. The worst part? I thought I was doing something good. I was trying. I was following the rules. But that's the trap of modern wellness. Sometimes we're so focused on what's marketed as healthy, we forget to ask our bodies how it actually feels. Because labels don't tell the whole story, and sleep doesn't care about branding. Once I made the connection, I threw that protein bar out, not out of anger, out of clarity. My body had been telling me the truth all along. I just hadn't been listening. So I paused. I took a few nights to reset. No packaged snacks, no hacks, just simple food again. A piece of toast, some banana with almond butter, a boiled egg with sea salt. Real food, not food-like products. Food that didn't just sit in my stomach, but landed gently in my system. And slowly my sleep returned. I started falling asleep faster, staying asleep longer, waking up less foggy, less wired, more grounded. Not because I found a magic formula, but because I stopped outsourcing my body's wisdom to a marketing label. See, the best bedtime snack isn't the one with the cleanest label. It's the one your nervous system can recognize as safe. The one your gut can digest without confusion. The one that doesn't hijack your hormones or trigger false signals. It doesn't have to be fancy. It doesn't need 5-star reviews. It just needs to feel right. Your body knows. It always has. And And sleep is the proof. So if you've been doing everything right and still feel like rest won't come, look at the quiet details, the ingredients no one talks about, the timing, the temperature, the texture, and most of all, how it actually feels, not in your mouth, but in your chest, in your heart rate, in your breath, in the moment right before sleep. Because sometimes, what keeps you awake isn't your thoughts. It's the bar you trusted to help you sleep. And sometimes, what brings you home to rest is something as simple as real food and a little less noise. In the next episode, we're going to shift gears and step into what happens after the meal. The rituals around digestion, nervous system regulation, and winding down that most people skip. It's called Episode 9, The Ritual That Makes Sleep Land. But tonight, maybe try this. Put down the fancy snack, step into your kitchen, and give your body something real, something known, something that feels like rest, even before your head hits the pillow. Episode 9, The Ritual That Makes Sleep Land. There's a difference between going to bed and landing into sleep. You can lie down, close your eyes, and still be miles away from rest. Your body might be still, but your mind is pacing. Your breath is shallow. Your thoughts are echoing off the walls of your skull. You're in bed, but you're not home. That used to be me. Night after night, I'd do all the right things. Eat well, turn off the lights, put my phone down, play soft music. But still, something inside me stayed on. Like a machine that had powered down the screen but not the system. Until one night, I stopped trying to shut everything off. And instead I asked, what if I helped myself arrive? Not crash, not disconnect, but land. That's when I discovered the ritual. Not a strict checklist, not a rigid sequence, just a pattern, a rhythm, a gentle closing of the day that signaled to my nervous system, you can stop now. And it started with something so small, I almost missed it. Brushing my teeth slowly, washing my face with warm water instead of cold, breathing deeply while I dried my skin with a towel that smelled like home. Then sitting for just 2 minutes, not meditating, not fixing, just sitting, noticing the way the air felt on my arms, the way the floor held me, the way my shoulders softened when I wasn't pushing them to do anything. I wasn't performing calm, I was inhabiting it. I realized that what my body craved wasn't silence, it was signal, a cue that the day was over, that it didn't have to protect me anymore, that it could step down from alert. So I started giving it those cues, gently, consistently, like breadcrumbs leading back to peace. The first was light. I used to blast overhead lighting in every room without thinking. But light tells the body what time it is. And when that light is too blue, too bright, too artificial, your brain thinks it's still time to hunt and solve and survive. So I swapped the ceiling lights for lamps. I turned them off one by one as I moved through the house. Kitchen first, then the living room, then the bathroom. By the time I reached the bedroom, only a small salt lamp glowed beside my pillow. My body understood. It wasn't time to scroll or fix or plan. It was time to dim. The second cue was sound, not silence. Silence made my mind louder. I needed something gentle, something steady. Sometimes it was soft instrumental music. Sometimes it was a rain app. Sometimes it was just the white noise of the fan spinning beside me. The sound didn't distract me. It contained me, like a blanket for my brain. The third cue was breath. Not deep breathing like the kind you force, but noticing my breath, placing a hand on my chest and feeling it rise. Not judging it, not counting it, just noticing it like I would notice the sound of a loved one sleeping beside me. Familiar, soothing. And the last cue, the one that changed everything, was the way I entered bed. Not flopping into it, not falling into it like I had nothing left, but lowering myself gently, like I was laying a child down to rest. I would pull the covers over me like I was tucking myself in, and I'd whisper, sometimes out loud, sometimes just in my head, "You did enough today. It's okay to rest now." That's when my body would land, not crash, not black out, but land. As if all the scattered pieces of me finally came back into one place, one breath, one being. I used to think sleep was something I had to conquer, something I had to earn through discipline, or hack with supplements, or chase with perfect routines. But now I know the truth. Sleep doesn't respond to control, it responds to care. The more I pushed, the more it slipped through my fingers. But the more I softened, the more it came willingly. Like a bird that lands only when the wind quiets down. My ritual isn't about doing everything right. It's not always the same. Some nights I forget the tea, some nights I skip the music, some nights I just breathe in the dark and let that be enough. Because it's not about the parts, it's about the posture. The inner message, the unspoken, "you're safe now," that these rituals offer. That message lands deeper than any supplement ever could. And sleep listens. So if you've been lying in bed feeling far from rest, maybe it's not about trying harder, maybe it's about landing softer. Maybe tonight, instead of rushing to shut everything down, you give yourself 10 minutes to arrive. Not to perform calm, but to remember it. It might be in the way you fold your blanket, the way you light a candle, the way you brush your teeth without scrolling. Or maybe, just maybe, it's in the way you whisper to yourself, without shame, without pressure, "You're allowed to rest now." Because when rest is allowed, it arrives. When it's welcomed, it stays. And when your body believes it, it sleeps. Deeply, quietly, completely. In the next episode, we'll meet the morning again, this time through the lens of nourishment. What to eat when you wake up that continues the work sleep began. It's called episode 10, the breakfast that keeps you calm all day. But for now, may tonight's ritual, however small, however simple, be the beginning of a different kind of rest. One that doesn't just put you to sleep, one that brings you home. Episode 10. The breakfast that keeps you calm all day. I used to think breakfast didn't matter, that as long as I had coffee and something quick, a granola bar, maybe a slice of toast, or sometimes nothing at all, I'd be fine. But I wasn't fine. I was anxious by 10 a.m., irritable by noon, exhausted by 3. My body was awake, but my mind was on edge. I couldn't focus. My heart would race at the smallest things. I'd crash mid-morning, crave sugar before lunch, and tell myself I just needed more discipline. But it wasn't a discipline problem. It was a fuel problem. My nervous system wasn't broken. It was hungry. And not just for food, but for the right kind of food. Food that would hold me, not spike me. Food that would nourish me, not numb me. Food that would whisper safety into my blood before the world had a chance to shout. The first time I ate a real breakfast, I didn't know what to expect. I had just come off a week of better sleep, thanks to the bedtime rituals I'd started, and I wanted to carry that grounded feeling into the next day. So I sat down. No phone, no rush, no rules except one: give your body what it actually needs. I made a bowl of warm oatmeal with chia seeds, flax, and a spoon of almond butter. I topped it with some sliced banana and a sprinkle of cinnamon. I added a boiled egg on the side, just to balance it out. Nothing fancy, nothing Instagrammable, just food I knew my gut could trust. And what happened next surprised me. I didn't feel full in the heavy way. I felt steady. My thoughts were slower, my breath deeper. My heart didn't race when I opened my inbox. I didn't reach for sugar at 11 a.m. I didn't feel the crash before lunch. I was calm. Not because I meditated, not because I journaled, not because I had hacked my mindset, but because I had fed my brain. Most of us don't realize how much breakfast shapes our nervous system. We think what we eat in the morning is just about hunger, just about getting through until lunch. But it's not. It's about stability. It's about signaling safety to the body before the stressors begin. When you eat refined carbs or skip breakfast altogether, your blood sugar spikes and crashes. That crash doesn't just make you tired, it makes your brain panic. Your body reads it as danger. Your cortisol rises, your adrenaline surges, your heart rate increases. And suddenly, you're anxious, not because of your job, not because of your phone, but because your body's internal chemistry thinks something is wrong. But when you eat a breakfast that balances complex carbs, healthy fats, fiber, and protein, you send a different signal. You say, we are okay. We are resourced. We are not in danger. That's what my oatmeal bowl did for me. The oats and chia gave me slow-burning carbs and fiber. The almond butter gave me fat to keep me full. The egg added protein to stabilize blood sugar. The banana gave a touch of natural sweetness to satisfy my senses without overwhelming my system. And together they told my nervous system, you don't have to be on edge. You don't have to go looking for fuel every 30 minutes. You can relax. You can regulate. You can think clearly. I didn't know food could do that. I had heard people talk about brain food or clean eating, but this wasn't about being clean. It was about being calm. It wasn't about looking healthy. It was about feeling safe. And for the first time I realized breakfast wasn't just a meal. It was a message. One I had been skipping for years. One that said, you are supported. You are not in fight or flight. You can move through the world without bracing. Now I see breakfast differently. It's not something I skip because I'm too busy or shoved down while checking emails. It's the first conversation I have with my body each day. And just like any relationship, how you start that conversation matters. If you start rushed, spiked, and scattered, you carry that tone into everything else. But if you start steady, if you give your system something warm, grounding, and nourishing, you set a different tone. A tone of trust, of clarity, of calm. And it doesn't have to be elaborate. It doesn't need superfoods or expensive powders. Some mornings it's leftover sweet potato with an egg. Other times it's a slice of sourdough with avocado and hemp seeds. Sometimes just Greek yogurt with berries and walnuts. It's not about perfection. It's about intention. About asking, what would help me feel steady right now? What would tell my body, you're safe to begin? What would help me stay in the calm that sleep gave me, instead of yanking myself into a cortisol-fueled rush? That's the shift. From surviving the morning to inhabiting it. From eating on autopilot to eating with awareness. From skipping the meal to listening to what you truly need. So tomorrow morning, before the noise begins, before the day demands a single thing from you, give something to yourself, even if it's small, even if it's imperfect, even if it's just a few minutes of quiet while you eat something real. Let breakfast be more than food. Let it be your first act of nervous system care. Let it be a way to say, I'm here. I'm not rushing. I'm not bracing. I'm starting from calm. And that calm can carry you through meetings, through errands, through moments that once shook you. Because the day unfolds differently when your first message to your body is, we're okay. In the next episode, we'll step into something even deeper, the unexpected link between emotional hunger and nighttime eating. It's called Episode 11, I Wasn't Hungry, I Was Just Lonely, How Emotions Shape Our Sleep Cravings. But for now, may your next breakfast be simple, honest, and steady. And may it remind your body, before anything else does, that you're safe, you're nourished, and you're ready to begin.